Assalamualaikum. So for today, we're going to do a topical test for chapter 2, which is cell biology and organization. So for this topical test, it consists of three sections, which is section A for objective questions, section B for structure questions, and also section C for essay questions. So let's go. So for section A, so the diagram below shows a structure found in a human body. What is the level of cell organization for this structure? So the question asks for the level of cell organization. So let us recall. So there are how many type of cell level of cell organization? There are 5. Start with the cell, followed by tissue. Then we have our organ, followed by system. We will make up the organism. So this is the picture of an eyeball. So A, we have tissue, B, system, C, organ, and D, organism. So the correct answer is organ. Eyeball is the organ. Organ is made up of tissue, and organ will make up system. So for question number 2, which of the following organelles is involved in the formation of spindle fiber? So spindle fiber is formed by the centriole. In the animal cell, we don't have any centriole in plant cell. So let us recall what is the function of the nucleus. So nucleus, they have two functions, which is as the center of cell or control cell activity, and also contain genetic information. As for the lysosome with hydrolyze large molecule to smaller molecules with the help of lysozyme. And lastly, the ribosome, the function is to synthesize the protein. So what is synthesis? Synthesis is the formation or forming the protein. Next, the diagram shows organelle X with ribosomes on it. So what will happen if X is damaged? So kita tengok. Okay, let's see our organelle X. So what is organelle X with ribosome on it? So they are the rough ER or endoplasmic reticulum. So what is the function of that? So the answer is we have protein cannot be modified, protein cannot be stored, protein cannot be synthesized, and protein cannot be transported. Since we know ribosome's duty is to synthesize the protein, so C is out. And protein is modified by the Golgi apparatus, so also out. So B or D? So the answer is D, cannot be transported, since the protein is going to be transported. Protein that synthesized by the ribosome will be transported to the Golgi apparatus before being secreted out of the cell. Next, number 4. So diagram below shows cell P. Which of the following description is true about cell P? So this is the, what kind of cell is this? This is the plant cell. So what is the characteristic? Which of the description is true? So it's A, which is cell P has both cell wall and plasma membrane. As for B, it has cell wall but no plasma membrane, so it's wrong. So cell P has a large nucleus, also wrong, since cell P has a small nucleus but has a large vacuole. And cell P has a plenty of vacuole. No, we had only one vacuole in cell P. So diagram below shows the cell of organization in human. So we start off with the cell. So after cell we have the tissue. Then we have the organ. Lastly the system. So what tissue make up this organ? This organ is the heart. So heart is made up of the cardiac muscle tissue. So A, B, C, D. So A is the smooth muscle, B is the bone tissue, C and D. C is the skeletal, and D is the cardiac. So how to differentiate between C and D? So as for skeletal muscle tissue, we can see that the nucleus is on the cell itself, but as for the cardiac muscle, they have the nucleus inside the cell. Okay, which of the following is not found in plant? So obviously the answer is D, since this is the epithelial tissue. So which organ have this kind of epithelial tissue? This flat epithelial tissue is belong to the lung. Collagen is needed to form a type of tissue in human. What is the best reason for consuming collagen? So collagen is substances that usually people take to increase ataupun to loosen their wrinkled skin. So it is to improve the skin elasticity. As for adipose tissue here, adipose tissue is in the skin but act as the fat storage or to heat the body or as body insulator. Next, number 8. How does amoeba move? So amoeba move using its false leg, or we also call them as pseudopodium. So pseudopodium. Pseudo here means false, and podium means legs. So they're moving using false legs. Let's say I change the question into paramecium. So for paramecium, they move using their cilia. The blood glucose level is regulated by the following body system except the excretory system. The digestive system is involved since we consume food. So it start off with the mouth. So as we consume food inside our mouth, so the digestive system is involved. As for the circulatory system, since our glucose, our blood is involved in our circulatory system, as our endocrine will regulate our hormones. Okay, diagram below shows the living process in an amoeba. What is the process? So this is the process of phagocytosis, where the amoeba will engulf the food particle and then excreted out their waste. Diagram below shows 3 types of muscle tissue. Which muscle tissue is or are involved in the involuntary action? What is meant by involuntary action? Means that we cannot control it. So the answer is C, smooth muscle tissue and cardiac muscle tissue, as we cannot control our heartbeat. And for smooth muscle tissue, since this is involved in our reflex action when our neuron acts. When for example, when we touch hot things, so our body will reflect it to avoid from keep getting injured. Next, which part of the plant can be represented by R? So R is our organ. So among parasite mesophyll, leaf, xylem and stoma, which one is the organ? So the answer is B. So mesophyll parasite is our cell as well as the stoma, while xylem is our tissue. Which of the following tissues involve to form a heart? So which one does not involve in heart formation? Only the adipose tissue, because adipose tissue is only can be found under our skin. So if we found adipose tissue on our heart, what will happen? It will make the heart difficult to pump the blood throughout the body. So diagram below shows a specialized cell in digestive system. The organ that abundant with this cell is, so this is the epithelial cell with cilia on it. So between small intestine, large intestine, stomach and esophagus, which one have cilia on its epithelial cell? They are the small intestine. The following statement refers to organelle X. What is organelle X? Organelle X contain hydrolytic enzyme and digest and eliminate worn out mitochondria. Did you remember? Let us recall back. What can hydrolyze the enzymes? They are the lysosome. What is the function of Golgi apparatus? So Golgi apparatus, they have four functions. Start with modify, pack, process, and transport. Ribosome will synthesize the protein, and smooth ER will synthesize lipid. So finish with with the objective question. We go to the subjective question pula. So diagram below shows a search of human muscle labeled W, X, Y, and Z. So name the level of organization. So when we talk about level of organization, so W is the system, X is the organ, C is the cell, and Z is the tissue. Z is here. So name structure Y. So Y is the cell. What kind of cell is this? This is the skeletal muscle cell. Explain how structure is prepared to carry out special function. So the muscle cell will undergo specialization since we have three types of muscle cell. So why do they undergo specialization? So that the muscle could contract and relax. Name the type of blood shown in the above diagram. So this is the red blood cell, or also could be called as RBC or erythrocyte. Explain why the cell shown above is a good example of a cell whose structure is ideally suited with this function. So, first, if you say that they have biconcave this shape, you got 1 marks. Why do they have biconcave this shape? To increase the total surface area, to increase the rate of gas diffusion. You also can get another mark. So with only this point, you can get 2 marks. Or you can also say that it has no nucleus to allow more hemoglobin to be packed in the cell combined with the hemoglobin. How are the structure of these cells different from any typical animal cell? Explain your answer. So RBC does not contain nucleus, mitochondria and ribosome, unlike the typical muscle cell, animal cell. So you got 1 mark here. So the absence of this structure allows more hemoglobin presence in the cell. Why do we need more hemoglobin in our red blood cell? Is it to allow more gases, more oxygen gases to be transported to the whole part of our body? So diagram below shows a unicellular organism. What organism is this? This is then an amoeba. SP. So what is the part labeled X? X is our pseudopodium, also called as false feet. So explain how the organism in the diagram obtain nutrient. So if we want to talk about how they get nutrient, we talk about their phagocytosis. So they will extend their pseudopodium around the food particle and in the phagocytosis process. So you got one mark here, another one mark here. So food vacuole is formed, also another mark. Later combined with lysozyme. Lysozyme will digest and the nutrient will absorb to body. So there are total of 6 marks here that you only need 2 marks. State the method of reproduction of the cell in dry and cold condition. So during dry and cold condition, this is considered as the unsuitable condition. So when it is dry and cold for amoeba, there will be forming spores or spores formation, or we can also call them as sporulation. As for perimysium, they will undergo conjugation. So state the habitat where this organism can be found. So for this organism, which is the amoeba, we can find them in fresh water or damp soil. If you said water, so the answer is rejected. Why? Because there is too general. What kind of water are you talking about? Are you talking about seawater, marine water? So you have to be specific, which is the fresh water. Why we cannot include the seawater? Because this amoeba cannot live in the hypertonic solution condition. So number 4, organelle L and M. So organelle L is our mitochondria and M is our chloroplast. How do we know that? So if you can see here, our friend here, our organelle here, they have double layer. So they have double layer of membrane. Same goes to the mitochondria. They also have double layer, but the inner layer is folded. So state the function of organelle N and O. So N is our nucleus, so its function to control the center of a cell or control cell activity, while this friend here, our O, function to process, modify, package. I forgot to transport protein and lipid. State what will happen if cell does not contain structure N. Since N is our nucleus and its function to control the cell activity, so if the cell does not have N, the cell is unable to control its activity, or you can also say it was unable to undergo cell division. Okay, finish for the structure question. We go to the essay question. So there are only 2 questions for this part. So the first question, explain how the phagocytosis in amoeba explain this process. So just like what we have recalled before, so start off with their feed through phagocytosis. Amoeba will extend their pseudopodia to engulf the food particles. The food particles is packed in the food vacuole. The food vacuole fuses with lysosome, which contain hydrolytic enzyme called lysozyme. The food particles are digested by lysosome, and the nutrients produced is diffused into the cytoplasm. The waste product will be released out of the cell as the amoeba move. So as they move, they will excrete out their waste product through their cytoplasm. So next question, perimysium is a common freshwater protist found in pond or slow-moving streams. Discuss the problem faced by perimysium in freshwater environment and explain how to maintain its water balance. So when we're talking about water balance, we are talking about osmoregulation, or in Malay we call them as pengosmokawal aturan. So the main problem faced by perimysium is the continuous diffusion of water into the cell by osmosis. Since they live in the freshwater condition, so the water will keep on moving in or diffuse in. So this is due to the external environment, which is more hypertonic than the cytoplasm of the cell. So the control of water balance in the cell, we call them as osmoregulation, is aided by the two contractile vacuole that we can found, one at the posterior and one at the interior. So the contractile vacuole will accumulate water. Predictably, the contractile vacuole will contract to expel the water throughout the plasma membrane. So what will happen is that the water will keep on flowing into the contractile vacuole, and up to some point when the contractile vacuole couldn't bear the amount of water, they will start to contract to expel the water through the plasma membrane. So the plasma membrane of the paramecium is also less permeable compared to the membrane of most other cells. So this is to prevent the cell from bursting. Since the water keep on rushing in, so if they don't have this contractile vacuole, what will happen? So the cell will start to swell, and up to one point they will burst. So that's all for today. So how much do you get for this kind of test? So I can consider that this kind of topic is quite easy, and I hope that this will help you to understand more on this chapter. See you guys soon. Bye.